There will always be people who look at your dreams and laugh. They'll say you're too small, too late, too unqualified, or too different. They'll question your goals not because they know you, but because they don't know themselves. People doubt what they don't understand, and unfortunately, that often includes you. But the greatest tragedy isn't their doubt. It's when you start believing them, when you let their insecurities speak louder than your vision. When you begin to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's comfort zone. People will doubt you, that's their job, but don't you dare join them. That's not your job. Your job is to believe when no one else does, to keep showing up even when no one claps, to trust your inner compass even when the world is spinning with confusion and criticism. History is full of people who were doubted. Oprah was told she wasn't fit for TV. Edison failed thousands of times. Nelson Mandela was called a troublemaker. They were doubted, dismissed, even hated, but they refused to join the crowd of doubters. They stayed committed to their mission. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need one person. You silence that inner voice that says maybe they're right. Replace it with watch me prove them wrong. Feed your faith, starve your doubt. Because once you start believing in yourself, the world won't have a choice but to pay attention. Let them doubt, that's fuel, that's fire, but don't you dare doubt yourself. From the moment you decide to step out of the crowd and chase something bigger than comfort, opinions will come at you from every direction. Some will be disguised as concern. Others will be cloaked in sarcasm. A few may even come from people you love, but here's the truth. Just because someone has something to say about your life doesn't mean they're qualified to speak on it. It's easy to forget that people interpret your decisions through the lens of their own fears, not your potential. When someone says that's unrealistic, what they often mean is, I wouldn't be brave enough to try that. When they say, nobody makes it doing that, what they really mean is, I don't know anyone personally who succeeded, so I've decided it's impossible. Their words are reflections of them, not predictions of your future. The problem is, if you don't know who you are and where you're going, you might mistake their voice for truth. And that's dangerous. People doubted the Wright brothers when they said humans could fly. They mocked Elon Musk when he talked about reusable rockets. They dismissed countless innovators, artists, entrepreneurs, and pioneers because what they were doing didn't fit into the world's idea of normal. But guess what? The world eventually adjusted. The doubters eventually went silent. Not because their opinions changed, but because they got drowned out by results. And you need to understand something right now. Opinions are not facts. They are often projections, raw data pulled from someone else's fear, failure, upbringing, education, or lack thereof. And while they may sound convincing, even logical, that doesn't make them true. Especially not true for you. Think about it this way. If you're trying to climb a mountain, and someone who's never left the valley tells you that it's impossible, should you believe them? Of course not. And yet, we constantly allow people who have never dared to dream, build, fail, or rise, to shape how we see our own ability. That's like letting someone who's never held a paintbrush critique your masterpiece. It's absurd when you really think about it, but the trap is real. If you don't filter those opinions, they'll seep into your self-image. You'll start adjusting your ambition based on someone else's comfort zone. You'll lower your voice to keep from being too much. You'll dull your dreams because you're afraid of being laughed at. And suddenly, you're no longer living your life. You're acting in someone else's low-budget script, written in fear, directed by doubt. You need to develop mental armor, not arrogance, but discernment. Just because someone says something doesn't mean you need to internalize it. Just because they don't see what you see doesn't mean it isn't real. The best minds in history were rarely surrounded by understanding. In fact, they were often surrounded by doubt, skepticism, and criticism, until their results made it undeniable. Here's something else to remember. Many of the people offering their opinions have never even tried what you're attempting. They've never built a business, never pursued a calling, never put their reputation on the line for a dream. Yet they feel confident enough to comment on yours. Why? Because it's easy to sit on the sidelines and critique. It's hard to get in the game and risk it all, and most people choose easy, but you didn't come this far to play it safe. You weren't built to be average. If you have a dream in your chest and a fire in your gut, you cannot let someone's casual opinion become your compass. Your path is not meant to be universally understood. In fact, if it is easily accepted, it's probably not bold enough. So the next time someone says, "You can't do that," or "That's never going to work," don't argue, don't defend, don't explain. Just remember, they are not always right. In fact, they usually aren't, and in the end, it won't be their opinion that shapes your future. It will be your action. Let the world talk. Let them whisper, let them doubt. But you keep walking, keep building, keep believing, because their opinions aren't facts, and you were never meant to live in their limits. The voices outside you can be loud, but the one inside your head, that's the one that decides everything. People will question you. They'll throw shade, cast doubt, roll their eyes, and tell you that you're dreaming too big. That's almost expected. But what truly destroys momentum, what truly wrecks dreams, isn't the voice of others. It's when you start echoing their doubt in your own mind. Because external doubt is just noise. But self-doubt, that's sabotage. You can escape the critics online. You can turn off the comments. You can walk away from the people who laugh or criticize. But you can't walk away from your own thoughts. You take them with you to the pillow, to the boardroom, to the gym, to the mirror. And if those thoughts are poisoned by insecurity, fear, and hesitation, then it doesn't matter how loud you scream on the outside. Internally, you're already retreating. That's how self-doubt works. It whispers in moments of weakness. It creeps in during failure, after rejection, in silence. It disguises itself as logic. It'll say, "I'm not being negative, I'm being realistic." Or, "I'm just preparing for the worst." But underneath that mask is fear pretending to protect you. And the more you listen to it, the smaller you become. When you begin to doubt yourself, everything starts to shrink. Your confidence shrinks. Your decisions shrink. Your actions become timid. You hesitate more. You overthink. You stall. And eventually, opportunities that were meant for you pass by. Not because you weren't capable, but because you weren't convinced. That's the damage of self-doubt. It doesn't just prevent success. It talks you out of trying. Here's the thing. Everybody has moments of insecurity. Even the most powerful people you admire wrestle with doubt from time to time. But the difference between those who rise and those who fade isn't that one group never doubts. It's that they don't believe the doubt. They see it, hear it, feel it, but they don't join it. They've learned to separate fact from feeling. They've learned that feeling unqualified doesn't mean they are unqualified. That fear before a big decision is normal, but backing down because of it isn't necessary. That just because the voice in their head says you're not ready, doesn't mean they have to agree. Self-doubt becomes lethal when it becomes your identity, when you stop saying, "I'm feeling unsure," and start saying, "I'm not good enough." One is temporary, the other is a life sentence, and that's why it's crucial to learn to interrupt that thought pattern. Question it, challenge it, flip it. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" ask, "What if I don't?" Instead of saying, "I've never done this before," try, "I've never done this before, so I'm about to grow." Instead of thinking, "What if they're right?" remind yourself, "They don't know me." Because they don't. Nobody truly knows what's inside of you, except you. And if you allow the internal narrative to be shaped by outside limitations, then you're building a life around fear, not purpose. You were born with potential, with possibility, with power, but those gifts mean nothing if you lock them inside a prison built by self-doubt. The door is open. You've always had the key. The only thing keeping you stuck is the belief that you're not ready, not worthy, not enough. But you are, and you've always been. The question isn't whether the world will doubt you. The question is, will you believe it? Because until you stop doubting yourself, everything around you will feel uncertain. But the moment you flip that inner dialogue, when you start saying, "I've got this," even before you're sure you do, everything changes. You become dangerous, unstoppable, focused, free, and no voice, no critic, no hater can match the volume of a mind fully convinced of its own worth. Confidence is not a luxury. It's not a nice-to-have quality or an accessory you wear when things are going well. Confidence is survival. It's the mental armor you need to walk through a world that constantly tries to shrink you. Too often, we're taught that being confident means you're full of yourself, that believing in your own potential makes you cocky or self-absorbed. So what do? We play small. We downplay our ideas. We wait for permission. We lower our volume to make others feel comfortable. But let me tell you something. There's a world of difference between arrogance and confidence. Arrogance is shouting that you're better than others. Confidence is whispering to yourself that you're capable, even when no one else believes it. Confidence is not about being loud. It's about being rooted. It's not about declaring you have all the answers. It's about knowing you can figure them out. It's the internal decision that says, no matter what happens, I trust myself to handle it. And in a world that constantly throws obstacles, delays, critics, and doubters in your way, confidence is the one thing that keeps you standing when everything else falls. You see, when people doubt you, and you'll need confidence to keep moving forward. Because there will be days when you don't feel ready. There will be rooms where you feel out of place. There will be moments where everyone around you seems more experienced, more connected, more successful. And in those moments, confidence is the only thing that will stop you from walking out the door or shrinking into silence. It's easy to be confident when things are working, when people are cheering you on, when the money's flowing, when the wins keep stacking up. But real confidence, it shows up when nothing is working, when you've been rejected 5 times in a row, when your bank account is empty, when the silence feels louder than any applause you've ever received. That's when confidence becomes your lifeline. It's that quiet fire inside that says, I'm not done yet. It's the voice that says, I've failed, but I'm not finished. It's the steady heartbeat that says, I may not have all the answers, but I'm still in the game. If you rely on the world to feed your belief, you'll starve. If you depend on the approval of others to validate your path, you'll stay stuck. Because people are fickle. Circumstances change. Praise is temporary. But confidence, the kind you build from experience, resilience, and self-awareness, is permanent. It travels with you. It strengthens over time, and it can't be taken away unless you surrender it. That's why confidence isn't arrogance. It's necessary. It's the fuel that drives risk, the backbone of courage, the foundation of every bold decision you'll ever make. Without it, you hesitate. With it, you move forward, even if your knees are shaking. Confidence gives you the strength to speak in rooms where no one looks like you. It empowers you to ask for what you deserve. It lets you take up space without apology. And most importantly, it allows you to believe, not in the absence of fear, but in the presence of it. So if someone tries to make you feel guilty for being confident, understand this. They are not your people. Anyone who's walked through fire and climbed their way out understands that confidence isn't a show. It's a shield. It's the tool you use to keep going when everything else tells you to quit. And if you've ever been made to feel small for standing tall, stand taller. Because you don't owe the world your silence. You don't have to water yourself down so other people can feel comfortable. Your confidence is not a threat to the right people. It's a signal of purpose, of direction, of resilience. Confidence is survival. In a world built to make you second, guess yourself, it is the most powerful weapon you own. There is a dangerous myth that far too many people live by, the myth that you need everyone to agree with your dreams before you can chase them. That you need a committee of validation, that you can't take the next step until the people around you approve of it. That myth has killed more dreams than failure ever has. The truth is your journey, your calling, your purpose, your dream. does not require a round of applause. It requires belief, but not belief from the crowd, belief from you. The reason so many people never reach their potential is not because they weren't gifted. It's not because the resources didn't exist. It's because they were waiting to be discovered, waiting to be encouraged, waiting for someone to tap them on the shoulder and say, "Now it's your turn." But life doesn't work that way. There is no magical moment where everyone around you suddenly gets on board with your vision. In fact, when you start to walk in the direction of something meaningful, something bold, something different, you will almost always walk alone in the beginning, because most people are wired to protect comfort, not chase purpose. So when you make the choice to step out of the status quo, it's unsettling, not just for you but for them. You'll notice the silence first, the texts that don't get returned, the people who used to check in suddenly backing off. Then you'll hear the subtle jabs. "You're really doing that? What makes you think this will work? Shouldn't you get something more stable?" These comments are often not meant to hurt you, but they can paralyze you if you don't have a strong sense of internal faith. You need to understand something. Your vision is yours for a reason. It wasn't sent to a group chat. It didn't arrive in a mass email. It landed in your heart. That means you are the one responsible for protecting it, believing in it, feeding it, and fighting for it. You cannot expect people who have never seen the mountaintop to understand why you're climbing. You cannot expect people who have never built anything to understand why you work long hours, take risks, or obsess over your craft. You cannot expect group approval for a path that was designed for one person, you. And yes, that can be lonely. Yes, that can be hard. But isolation in the beginning is often confirmation that you're moving in the right direction. The world will tell you, wait until the timing is perfect, wait until you have more support, wait until people believe in you, but here's the secret. You go first, the belief must start with you. The support follows the results. The applause comes after the performance, not before. You will have to clap for yourself when nobody else does. You will have to hype yourself up when you feel discouraged. You will have to keep building even when nobody is watching. That's not weakness, that's strength, because greatness doesn't begin in crowds. It begins in quiet conviction, the kind that says, "I don't need you to understand, I just need to move forward." And don't worry. Once the results show up, once the vision becomes reality, the same people who doubted you will suddenly act like they believed in you all along. But by then, you won't need it, because you'll realize that the only validation you ever really needed was your own. You are not here to be understood. You are here to fulfill your assignment. You are not here to be accepted. You are here to become, and becoming doesn't require a crowd. It requires courage. So stop waiting for everyone to approve of a path they were never called to walk. Stop shrinking your ideas so they fit into someone else's fear-based version of reality, and stop hesitating just because you're walking alone. Because your journey doesn't need a cheerleading squad. It needs you showing up, locked in, and ready to move, no matter who's watching. Doubt is inevitable. It's part of the process. People are going to question your abilities, mock your ambitions, and assume your failure long before they ever consider your success. But here's the crucial truth. Doubt doesn't have to destroy you. It can drive you. It can either act as chains that keep you stuck, or as fuel that launches you forward. The difference lies in how you respond to it. Every time someone says you're not good enough, you have a choice. You can wear that label like a weight around your neck, or you can burn it like a match and use the fire to push forward. Doubt only wins when you believe it. But if you repurpose it, if you reframe it, it becomes energy. Doubt can light a fire in your chest if you let it. Some of the greatest success stories were born from being underestimated. People said Oprah wouldn't make it on television. They said Michael Jordan wasn't good enough for his high school team. They told Steve Jobs he was too weird, too intense, too visionary. Every single one of them had the same experience. They were doubted, dismissed, and denied. But they didn't let that doubt define them. They let it fuel them. They didn't say, maybe they're right. They said, watch me. They didn't shut down. They locked in. They didn't collapse under the weight of criticism. They used it to strengthen their backbone. And you can too. The world is always going to have something to say. There will always be someone who looks at your dream and sees a joke. There will always be a person who interprets your ambition as arrogance, your confidence as delusion. But their doubt is not your truth. Their disbelief is not your reality. And their silence, judgment, or mockery cannot stop you unless you hand them the keys to your confidence. Think of it like this. Doubt is like wind. You can let it blow you over, or you can adjust your sail and ride it. When someone says you can't, don't explain yourself. Execute. Let results be your revenge. Let progress be your rebuttal. You don't need to argue with doubt. You need to outrun it. Outwork it, outlast it. Let their doubt wake you up earlier. Let it keep you in the gym longer. Let it sharpen your focus when others are distracted. Let it make you better, faster, smarter, more disciplined. Because when you learn to convert negative energy into motivation, nothing can stop you. You become unstoppable not because people believe in you, but because their disbelief became fuel for your grind. But here's the catch: using doubt as fuel doesn't mean you need to live your whole life proving people wrong. You're not here to live in reaction mode. You're not chasing success out of spite. You're chasing it because you were born to do something meaningful. Because the vision inside you is real. Because your destiny is too important to be derailed by noise. Let the doubt light the fire, but let your purpose guide the direction. The danger of doubt is when you let it paralyze you. When you start second, guessing every move, when you don't take the leap because someone said it was too risky. When you abandon your dream because it made someone else uncomfortable. That's when doubt becomes chains. And those chains are invisible but heavy. They'll keep you locked in a life that doesn't belong to you. They'll keep you stuck in places you were never meant to stay. You weren't made to live in chains. You were made to rise, to move, to build, to create. And sometimes the greatest power you'll ever have is your ability to transform criticism into confidence, to convert rejection into redirection, and to turn every single ounce of doubt into raw, undeniable progress. So the next time someone doubts you, smile. That's more energy in the tank. That's another log on the fire. That's proof you're pushing against the grain of average. And that's exactly where growth happens. Let them doubt. Let them talk. Let them roll their eyes. You keep climbing. You keep building. You keep turning doubt into power. There's a subtle prison that most people live in, and they don't even realize it. It's built not of steel or concrete, but of assumptions, labels, and expectations handed to them by society, family, teachers, co-workers, even strangers. This prison convinces them they can only go so far, be so much, dream so big. But here's the truth. You were not born to fit inside the expectations of others. You were born to exceed them. From a young age, the world begins constructing a version of you. You're shy. You're not leadership material. You're not athletic. You should stay in your lane. It happens quietly in off-hand comments and sideways glances. And if you're not careful, you start to believe that version. You start to shape your life around what they think is possible for you. That is a tragedy, because expectations are limits disguised as guidance. And while some people may mean well when they try to steer you into a box, most of those boxes were never built with your future in mind. They were built from their past, their regrets, their failures, their fears. And if you let them, they will hand those things to you like they're doing you a favor. But let me be clear. No one else gets to decide who you are. No one else gets to define the ceiling on your potential. No one else gets to stamp a label on your future and call it truth. Your story is still being written, and you're the one holding the pen. Maybe they expect you to settle. Maybe they expect you to stay small, stay quiet, stay in a job you hate, or in a life that feels suffocating. Maybe they expect you to never take risks, never chase passion, never break the mold. That's fine. Let them have their expectations, but don't let them become your reality. Because what they expect from you says more about them than it ever will about you. Maybe they expect failure because they've only known failure. Maybe they expect mediocrity because they've never seen greatness up close. Maybe they expect you to quit because they did. But you don't have to live by their standards. You can redefine the rules, you can walk a different road. You can disappoint their expectations in order to fulfill your own destiny. Some of the most successful people in history were told to stay in their place, to stick to what was normal. But they didn't. They chose to challenge the script, flip the narrative, and reframe the limits placed on them. And because of that, they didn't just meet expectations. They shattered them. That's your job now. You are not the labels they gave you in school. You are not the role society expects you to play. You are not the character others have written into their version of your life. You are a force. You are a creator. You are a disruptor of norms. And the only expectation that should guide your path is your own. Not someone else's prediction. Not a parent's projection. Not a friend's limitations. And yes, breaking out of the mold will make people uncomfortable. People don't like when others rise, because it forces them to look at how they've settled. Your ambition might expose their apathy. Your success might reveal their surrender. So don't expect applause while you're breaking the frame. Expect resistance. And keep going anyway. Because the most powerful moment in your life is when you realize that you are not obligated to be who the world told you to be. You get to choose, you get to build, you get to evolve. And the next time someone tries to box you in, look them in the eye and say, "That might be what you expected, but it's not who I am." There is something extraordinary that happens when one person, just one, decides to believe in themselves with unwavering conviction. It's not flashy, it's not loud, but it's powerful enough to tilt the balance of the universe. Because when you believe in yourself deeply, relentlessly, and consistently, no amount of outside doubt can stop you. You can have 1,000 people tell you no, but if you keep telling yourself yes, you'll still win. The truth is, the world is not short on doubt. Doubt is everywhere. It's in headlines, in opinions, in conversations, in glances, in social media comments. The moment you step out of line, someone will try to nudge you back. The moment you dream bigger than your environment, someone will tell you to be realistic. The moment you decide to rise, someone will whisper, "Don't get ahead of yourself." But what if you did? What if instead of shrinking in response to doubt, you expanded? What if you believed in your dream so much that it didn't matter who laughed, who doubted, or who walked away? People often wait for the world to give them permission to believe in themselves. But you don't need permission. You need persistence. You need to decide that your belief is louder than their fear, that your vision is stronger than their version of you, that your faith in your own journey is non-negotiable. Because when you believe in yourself, truly believe, not when it's easy, not just when people are clapping, but in the silence, in the struggle, in the moments when it feels like you're losing, it changes everything. Belief doesn't eliminate obstacles, but it changes how you face them. Belief doesn't stop the critics, but it makes their voices irrelevant. Belief doesn't make the journey easy, but it makes it possible. You have to understand, most of the world lives in fear. They've made comfort their god. They've traded potential for predictability. And when they see someone daring to break that pattern, it scares them. So they project doubt onto you, not because they see your failure, but because they fear your success. But if you let their doubt weigh more than your own belief, you lose. You lose before you even begin. You sabotage yourself before the world ever gets a chance to do it. You hand over the keys to your future and say, "I trust your judgment of me more than my own." Don't do it. Your belief in yourself is your engine. It's your fuel, your guide, your fire. It's the inner voice that says, "I'm still going," when everything else screams, "Give up." And if you build it, nurture it, and protect it, you become unstoppable. Because here's the secret. You don't need the world to believe in you. You don't need the room to clap. You don't need the panel to approve. All you need is one person who wakes up every day and says, "I will not quit. I will not shrink. I will not surrender. I believe in who I am and who I am becoming, and nothing you say or don't say can take that away from me. That one person can change the world. That one person is you. So yes, people will doubt you. They'll question your moves, laugh at your ambition, and try to make you second. Guess your worth. But here's what you must remember. You don't have to join them. You don't have to agree with their opinion of you. You don't have to adopt their fears, their limitations, or their small view of what's possible. You are not here to meet their expectations. You're here to exceed your own. Their doubt is not your destiny. Their silence is not your signal. Their disbelief is not your blueprint. What matters most is what you believe when it's just you, the mirror, and the next decision in front of you. Because yourself, belief is the foundation for everything. It's what turns critics into background noise. It's what transforms hesitation into execution. It's what keeps you moving when logic says stop. So walk boldly, speak firmly, dream fearlessly, and when the world says you can't, you smile and say, watch me. Let them doubt, that's their job, but your job is to rise.